In this video, we're going to show you how to install pads and rotors on your Kia Sorento located behind your rear wheels. Using a 21mm socket, loosen and remove your lug nuts. Go ahead and grab your wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now I want to go ahead and remove our brake caliper here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver. I'm going to go in this side here between the brake pad and the caliper, and I'm going to gently pry. And what's actually happening here is I'm pushing the piston in. I'm going to apply some pressure like that. Now you can see that our caliper is free floating. We have the pressure off of our brake pads. I'm going to use our 14mm socket, loosen and remove our 2 bolts here securing the caliper. Now when undoing this here, you want to make sure that the caliper does not fall off and pull on the flex hose here. You can damage a flex hose and that's going to cause more potential brake issues down the road. So just be careful with that. Now this flex hose is long enough where we can actually remove our caliper assembly and set it up on top of the control arm. But before we do that, we want to go ahead and press our piston all the way into the caliper. I'm going to slowly compress this in. And that's it right there. With that pushed in all the way, we can now go ahead and take our caliper and set it up on top of the control arm. Let's go ahead and remove our old brake pads. Next thing we want to do is loosen and remove the 2 bolts securing our caliper bracket. And we're going to use our 14mm socket. Go ahead and loosen, remove our 2 bolts. I'm going to leave this bolt in just a few threads to keep this caliper bracket from spinning up and down when I go to remove this one here. Now to remove our rotor here, we have 2 Phillips head set screws. Now these are put on from the factory to keep the rotor in place during assembly. If your vehicle does not have these, it is not critical to the operation of the vehicle. Go ahead and use your Phillips head screwdriver, loosen and remove these. Once you have the screws removed, go ahead and grab that brake rotor and slide that off. Once you have the rotor off, you want to go ahead and spray this down with a solvent, and then we'll run our wire brush over the hub face. Our next step is to go ahead and put some anti-seize compound on our hub face. Now when installing your brake rotor, you want to pay attention to what is actually happening here. Our brake shoes, our parking brake shoes, make contact with the inside of our disc brake rotor here. The adjuster itself, located down here, as we move this here, will cause the parking brake shoes to expand. Knowing that, I'm going to go ahead and place our rotor on. And what we want to do is grab that rotor and wiggle it. We can see that it has some excessive play in here, and that tells me that we have a lot of room between the parking brake shoes and the inside of our rotor. So how do we fix that? We take up that space by adjusting this wheel, causing our parking brake shoes to expand out. I'm going to rotate this wheel down, and you'll be able to see a little bit more of a gap between the threaded end here and our adjuster wheel. Make sure this is centered. Go ahead and grab that rotor, line that up. And it's a little bit tighter. Now in some cases you can go ahead and adjust this, and you can use a pry tool to go up inside and adjust that if you want to. However, it's just as easy to go ahead and do it this way here. And what we're looking for is not a lot of drag on it, but we do want a little tension there. Still has some play in there. You see now I slid that on and it's flush, and there's just a tiny bit of drag on that. And that's perfect right there. Now if you have the screws for your rotor, go ahead and install those. I'm going to use a little bit of spray here to go ahead and clean off our brake rotor surface. Make sure that that is free of any debris. Now I want to go ahead and rebuild our caliper bracket. We want to go ahead and pop out our slides here. Do the same on this side. We want to go ahead and remove our slide pins. Now these here should basically be able to spin in place. If they're kind of stuck in there, maybe use your bench vise, clamp the bolt side here, and use the bracket to go ahead and pull that out. But as we twist and pull this out, you want to go ahead and hold on to the rubber boot, separating the boot from the pin. And there you have it. And do the same for the other side. Next, you want to go ahead and remove the rubber boots. So you're going to stretch this out. So pinch that and rock that out. And do the same for the other side. Now in general, we want to go ahead and reuse these rubber boots. So what we want to do is once we have them out, we want to go ahead and pinch those and stretch them out. And you're going to inspect the boot for tears, anything that might let moisture or debris inside by those pins or anything like that. And our boots are in good shape. Go ahead and grab a shop rag there, and we're going to clean the pins here. Next is to clean these and give them both a visual inspection. You're looking for any rust buildup, scoring, any sort of damage to these pins here. These look really, really clean. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to run them through the wire wheel machine to clean off the head a little bit. The other thing you want to pay attention to is the port here. When you pull these out, one of these pins is going to have flat beveled edges on there on 3 sides. That one there, whatever side it came out, you want to go ahead and mark the caliper bracket itself. You can use a crayon or something that would etch it maybe. I'm just going to use a yellow marking crayon. That'll remind me that the different one goes on the one that's marked. Next thing, we want to go ahead and clean these ports where the slider pins go. I'm going to take some spray solvent. I'm going to wear some safety glasses when doing this. And I'm going to use a bore brush to go ahead and clean inside here. What we want to do is break down any sort of rust or old grease that might be in there and flush them out. Now I want to go ahead and stand this up. And where we removed the sliders from before, I'm going to go ahead and use my bristle brush, and we want to clean this up. We want to make sure that there's no rust buildup on here. If it is rusty and scaly, go ahead and use a flat file to go ahead and smooth out all of these points of contact here. Ours isn't that bad. We're cleaning up pretty good just using a bristle brush. We'll clean that and go ahead and flip it over. I'm going to repeat for this side. All right, let's go ahead and let that drain out and dry in the ports. I'm going to go ahead and clean these up in the wire wheel machine. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and install them. I'm going to apply a thin coat of grease. Smear that with your glove here. Just a thin coat. And then go ahead and take your tin or your shims here and slide those down into place. You want to push those down and make sure that they lock in. Once that's in place, go ahead and repeat for the other side. All right, now that we have our sliders in place, let's go ahead and assemble our slider pins here. And we have the one with the 3 flat spots on it. That's going to go on the slide that we marked. Before we install those, let's go ahead and install our boots here. All you want to do is slide these in. I have to pinch the end of those a little bit and work that in. What we're going to do is going to put a little bit of grease inside that boot, not a lot. And then put a thin coat on the slider pin itself. Go ahead and pull that boot back, work that pin in, and we're going to rotate as it goes in. You want to make sure that boot pops onto the lip on the slide pin itself. And then twist that, and it's perfect. Let's go ahead and do the same for the other one. Perfect. Now our caliper bracket is ready to install. Now what we want to do is take our bracket, slide that over, and get our bolt started here. Gonna get that upper bolt started. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the lower one. All right, we have both of those bolts in. Let's go ahead and snug them down. And make sure those are good and tight. I want to install our brake pads. You want to make sure that the inboard pad has a squeak tab attached to it here. Pop that into place. Go ahead and do the same on the outer pad here. Once we have those in, I'm going to go ahead and grab our caliper, slide that over, and you're going to have to push in on your pins here. Go ahead and grab the upper bolt, line that up and get that started, and go ahead and get that bottom one. I'm going to go ahead and snug these down. All right, we have all 4 of our bolts in. Let's go ahead and torque these into position. Go ahead and torque these down to 50 foot-pounds. And you'll repeat for the upper one. Torque down our caliper to 20 foot-pounds. Now at this point, you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. Before you install your wheels, hop into the vehicle, pump up that brake pedal. That brake pedal is probably going to go to the floor good 2 to 3 times, and then it'll start to build up from there. Once you get a good firm brake pedal, go ahead and install your wheels and go for a road test. Go ahead and grab your wheel, line it up on those wheel studs. Now we're going to go ahead and get our lug nuts started. Once we have them all started, we'll go ahead and snug them down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 75 foot-pounds. You want to do this in a crisscross pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.